This is Christoph Yalik.
This is Just Janet.
And this is K. Colley.
And this is
the Just Nuggets Podcast.
And welcome back to the Just Nuggets Podcast. My name is K. Colley. As you can hear in the voice, the Nuggets did not win Game 7. Christoph Yalic, I'm sure you're doing all right over there, as well as JJ's. I'm sure you're all right over there as well.
Yeah, Just Janet.
Yeah.
I'll go first. I love my Nuggets. Go Nuggets. I think you gave it your all. Starting with, 17 games, I think it's a go. When you came in like anybody else and heard that they were firing your GM and your coach. You won those 3 games. You got into the playoffs. We got a seed that we needed 4. We were hoping for 2 or 3, but we got 4. And you won the first series, game 7 against the Clippers. And we were like, yes, we might do this. We're in my mind, I thought we were just as good as OKC. Okay, I really did. And it was panned out. I wasn't wrong because we went to Game 7. Okay. But we're going to talk about what happened in Game 7. And we're going to talk about how Game 7 was just an overview of what we knew before the GM and the coach got fired. And so I'll let you get into it, but that's the framing of this call today.
Yeah, I have more to say on that. I will say the easiest part, or the part that sticks out the most for this game specifically, is with 50 or 2 minutes left in Game 6, AG going down. AG going down is the difference in this game specifically, because no AG on a team that we're alluded to has no bench.
Right.
And now you have one less starter down. You already had Michael Porter that was his arm was already hurt. Shoulder rather. Then you have Jamal Murray coming back from a flu, and his in and outs of the game. I think those 2 things really cost the Nuggets this year, and specifically in this game, those 3 things kind of cost the Nuggets. But ultimately, if you've listened to this podcast since the beginning of time, the easiest and obvious answer was we had a GM named Calvin Booth.
Yep.
Who decided that he didn't really care about how to build their team, apparently.
Well.
Because I was thinking about it, even if they made one trade.
One. We only need
at
one.
The offseason.
One consistent shooter.
Even if you just added one player to the team in the offseason, as bad as it looked at certain points in this season.
Yeah.
This team was only one player away. And I don't even mean like a great player. Like a dude that could just came off the bench and hit a couple shots. Like a consistent
you saw what happened
guy.
to Straw that came off in Game 6.
We would have won this series. The Nuggets didn't need a lot of help in the series. They just needed a couple. They needed their pieces. And when your GM doesn't give you those pieces in a Game 7 like this where AG's hurt, it's a wrap.
What do you think, Chris?
I'll start by being the mature adult on this one. It's like before I start pointing fingers elsewhere, I'll point the fingers internally. And that starts with way too many turnovers in the first half. Like those 10 turnovers, sloppy, it's Game 7. Like you gotta execute, And I think the team that out-executed in the first half was the Oklahoma City Thunder. They only had one turnover to the Nuggets 10. They had some poor shot selection. And where the game truly lost, where it got lost to me, was 21-10. The Nuggets were leading about midway, maybe about 75% through the first quarter. And P. Watt gets to the line. And as you guys all know, who are listeners of this pod, if you go back and listen to my episode from yesterday, I said he was going to be my dark horse X Factor. This dude, excuse me, I almost cussed right there. I apologize. But this dude goes to the line and misses back-to-back free throws. And it just felt like, and you could blame coaching. There's plenty of things. I just think sometimes it's like snake bit, and the season was just over. You know what I mean? Like they didn't have the energy. But 10 turnovers is absolutely ridiculous. Some of those shot selections was awful. And now I'll start pointing fingers. Michael Porter Jr., you're a champion. You're an all-time great Nugget, but I don't want you on the Nuggets anymore. Your time with us is over. Last season, and I griped and I said I would be done with it. You had 7 points in game 7 at home versus Minnesota. Your encore was to have 6 points in game 7 on the road at Oklahoma City. I've seen enough. You're an NBA champion. You can go play for the Clippers.
Christoph, let's have honest conversations then. So if Michael Porter is gone as you're claiming, what are we getting for him? What do you want from him? What do you expect that you can get from him? Let's get specific there if that's the move.
If you can get mid-level pieces and a draft pick back, I'd be cool with that. Like if we trade him to the Clippers and you're able to get like Terrence Mann back, you know, like my thing is this, like if all we're gonna get is a burst of 21 points and 6 points when you need it, hell, like Wiggins on their team did that. Case and Wallace did that. We don't even need a name back. This dude's making $31 million. He's making more than Jason Tatum.
But that's the point.
You know,
that's why
he's getting paid like an all-star with production of a mid-level role player. And that's the issue.
But they did something about that.
Analyze the point.
Yeah, they analyze the point. They already did something about that by firing the GM. And so that new GM will have to start unraveling some of this stuff. And I think that they'll start with MPJ only because of his salary.
No, I think that even the thing that is the problem with MPJ's contract is that you're not going to just be able to get rid of him straight up for any piece that's going to make huge differences, because a lot of teams are seeing that he's banged up in his production. So chances are, if you're going to get rid of MPJ, you're going to have to get rid of another asset like a Christian Brown or like a Jamal Murray, because that's who a team's gonna ask for. They're not gonna just be like, give us Michael Porter for blah blah blah.
50 of your
we don't
team.
even all but like chances are they're
gonna I will push back. The Lakers got Luka Doncic for nothing.
That was insider trading.
That was inside trading.
That was inside trading.
But I'm just saying, like, there's not a lot of smart GMs out here making crazy moves. Like, you're gonna sit here and tell me Houston wouldn't want to make a play for MPJ?
Okay,
we'll
put it down.
You're gonna say Milwaukee's not gonna want to make a. I would flip.
Kyle Kuzma.
I mean, no, but exactly. At this point, like maybe I don't know.
We'll give it back.
MPJ really has let us down the last 2 seasons.
That's the point.
When we really needed him.
I agree with you on that.
And he'd be the first one to say that he had an awful finals. So if you were dependent on him in the finals, he would have had a bat. He would have let you down. No, so I think the sample size is like, I think at this point
it's big.
There's no, like, as soon as Bruce Brown left and then KCP left, we don't have any deep rooted ties to these dudes anymore outside of the core four. And now the core four is, in my brain, CB, because that man's a gamer. He stepped up today. He came along for the ride. AG, who now, thank you, as Shams reported, needs those 2 weeks to get back healthy. He's got a lot more than 2 weeks now because he's good. And I even thought if they won today, it was probably going to be poor going into the next round because you weren't going to have AG for the first.
Yeah, we said
3 to 4 games.
We said on the podcast that no matter what, he was gonna probably miss out on a game or two to start the next series.
So the Nuggets were crazy banged up. Like, so even if they get out this game, that was gonna be tough. You got to keep Jamal Murray. I know there's a bunch of hate going on social media in the Nuggets realms, but I don't subscribe to that because Jamal's an absolute hooper. Today he didn't have a great game, but he had the flu. When he had the flu in Game 6, he came out and showed you who he was. He's won series and he's an absolute dog. Until in the next year, in the year following that, we can have a conversation about it then. But moving forward into next season, you got to keep him, and obviously keep Big Fella. So those are the only 4 that I'm like, that's your core. Those are the Denver Nuggets. Everyone else. Because, Julian Strawther was the hero today. That man played awful tonight.
Yeah, well,
he
gave us.
I was looking at
what he got.
Look, he gave you what he had in that moment, and that was perfect. It got you a game. It got us to Game 7.
And that's
if we had someone else to step up, I think the biggest move the Nuggets can make this offseason is getting a good GM. Obviously, I'm team Bob Myers. If there's someone else I don't know, like Sam Presti type, throwback RC Buford, someone who even Rob Pelinka, Rob Pelinka for all the mess he gets. No, I'm saying, but for all the gripe he gets, like this man, he in 2023,
have a job though? He has a job in the Lakers, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I'm just saying like these types. I'm not saying these actual individuals.
Okay.
The types. Like because he did change that Lakers team at the trade deadline. He did, then he did get Luka. So I can't hate on the man. He's doing a good job, he's doing a respectable job with the Lakers at the moment. The GM in Houston's he's built and constructed a great team. So there's good other GMs that I'm not saying like I don't know, but I think Bob Myers would be perfect for the job because he just kind of understands it. And at the end of the day, if at the end of the day, if you want to just be point blank and transparent with this, how everything went down, we got our hopes up because we know we could have beat them, and there was times in which we could have beat them. I look back at Game 4 is gonna be the one that haunts me because you had them on the ropes that game. You could have been up 3-1, and that would have put them in a very, very tough spot, and it would have been.
And that was the only home game we lost all year.
And like I said, that was like the one that was no, because they lost Game 2 versus when Kawhi went crazy.
Oh yeah, that's right. I'm true.
But when like that was worth 2 wins for OKC because that gave them ultimate confidence that they could win in that building, they could win a close game. That was tough. But at the end of the day, OKC is the number 1 seed. They're healthy. They won 68 games. They're the best team in basketball. They probably had the MVP. We were the 4th seed that lost. We're playing against adversity who were banged up. The thing why it hurts so much is because we had a lot of fun watching this team because they gave us hope. And what that was is they gave us hope because they are champions. They had that pedigree, and it was fun to watch it because it was great. It was fun while it lasted.
It was fun while it lasted.
It was the one last hurrah from Warriors. AG coming out there with one leg was a warrior move, and salute to you, Mr. Nugget. Yeah. That was a warrior move. That should have inspired everyone. Yeah. Jamal Murray coming out there with the flu, not having a great game. Jokic, the beating you got today.
Oh my
Caruso God. And Case and Wallace and Hartenstein, Chet, and all and SGA, all these people swiping you, and you're not getting the calls. You were a warrior. You averaged a triple-double this season. You probably will still lead, and by the time we get to the finals, everybody in points, rebounds, and assists in the playoffs, you're an absolute warrior. David Adelman, the way you stepped up and stepped in was amazing. There's so many things to go around, so many grievances to go. I mean, so many kudos to go around. Even the MPJ, you gutted out that shoulder injury. Excuse me, shoulder injury. So my God, his injury. His injury. Yes, his injury. He gutted it out. Yep. And there, that's the thing. Russell Westbrook, you came and gave vet leadership. Everybody on this team, it was a pleasure watching this team, and it gave us hope because we knew they had the ability to do it. They just ran into a juggernaut, and they gave that juggernaut everything they needed to propel them to that next level of their greatness.
Yeah, let me say this. You said turnovers. We had I don't know, 16 or whatever it turned out to be. The reason why is because that Joker and Murray were the only ones getting really defended. Okay. You said, how did we lose? We lost because they didn't care about anyone else. CB had the ability to go off because they were leaving him open. MPJ, they weren't worried about that shoulder. And they certainly wasn't quite worried about AG because they knew he had a hamstring and he wasn't going to be playing how he has played them for the last at least 3-4 games. Okay. So the reason why the people are hating on Murray, and they really shouldn't be, is because the man was getting defended by 2 and 3 people. And so was Joker. And that is why the balls were getting turned over, because they were getting swatted at. And I think y'all asked me, who do you not like on the team, the last pod? And I said, the one I wanted to punch in the face was Caruso. And he showed you why today. He showed you why, because he is far less of slight of build than Joker. And the refs, and don't let me get started on them. Scott Foster, the minute I saw his team come in, he happened to be the ref team that in game 2 we got a blowout, and now in game 7, we get a blowout. Imagine that. And you know why? Because he allows the play to happen. Caruso was all over Joker, and then here comes Hartenstein and Chet and whoever else just swatting the ball while he's hanging on Joker, and that's why we got all the turnovers.
But
Same with
Jays,
Murray.
but
Same
he
with Murray.
allows the play to happen for one side. Let me add that little caveat in there.
Yes,
Because it's
I
not
agree
like
with you.
it's not like because I said this, like there was one play that SGA like comes down, he gets a little daylight, and he puts his shoulder in and he runs right at, I think it was CB or P Watt, and he gets it up, and all he did was run right into him. He gets the foul call, right? Maybe about 4 possessions later, P Watt does the exact same thing with more contact by the Thunder, the defender. No call. No call. Jokic would get the rebound and is trying to like grab possession of it, and
And they swat
you
at
would
him.
literally see on the telecast they hit him right in the forearm.
Yeah.
And they're like, "Oh, that what a steal!" I'm like, "What a steal!" They hit the dude in the and by halfway through the third period, I was like, it is what it is at this point. Like they're not calling it,
No.
and it is what it is. Like the NBA.
Wanted OKC. Say it. You could say it. The NBA wanted OKC because they sent a demon that they knew would call it a certain way, and it happened. And I'm not absolving the Nuggets. I'm just telling.
And even on their website and stuff, they had like the conference finals starting on Tuesday. They had the 4 teams they had displayed. This was 2 hours before tip off. They had OKC, Minnesota, New York, and Indiana. So you can say what you must about it not being rigged and stuff, but sometimes they push the button a little bit.
You don't even have to worry about that anymore.
So you're saying that
that's where I was getting ready to go. Let K-Dot say it. Let K-Dot say it. I was going to say, do we have to guess anymore? Go ahead, K-Dot.
No, I'll just mess around with the Cooper flag, obviously.
No, I wasn't even going to get into all that. I was just going to say,
well, it's with our faces.
The Nuggets are a tough watch, I guess, to some, even though they said we've had the best 2 series of the playoffs so far. Maybe you say New York, Boston, but like once Tatum got down, like I don't know if that was a great series anymore. And you can't really say Indiana, Cleveland. They had a game winner. That was cool. But like after 1 or 2 games, those games kind of got blown out. We had 5 really good games, 2 blowouts. And, in the 2 blowouts, you had Scott Foster. And we got Scott Foster tonight. And the Nuggets had bad turnovers, so they didn't help them by any means. They took bad shots. They missed a lot of shots. I think the Nuggets need to be constructed. And at the end of the day, it's like, for me, and I'll let you just kind of speak to this too, Dot, or Jays, whoever wants to take it over, is like, I'm kind of happy about the future as well. I hope we can get a competent GM in here that sees that there's good bones. There's championship bones with championship DNA just sitting here. And you took a 68-win team to the brink. You gave them everything they wanted. That place was on pins and needles today until they got the breaks going, and then it became lively. But when it was 21-10, it was not, if they kept it close, it would have been a very, very, very tough win for the OKC. But they took off, and the Nuggets didn't really fight back or hold it close or go on a run to kind of keep it there. But I'm in a way, this season's over. It was a great while it lasted. They overachieved a ton, but they got back to the same spot. They lost in game 7. If you lose in game 7 in the conference semis, like you're not a bad team. Like they're right there. And in both cases, your GM built a garbage team that had to be they had to overperform. So I'm excited to see what they do. Get a new GM and we'll see what happens.
No, so I'd say for the first time since we won the championship, it feels like the Nuggets trajectory is back going. Like, I'm not saying that not say I didn't expect us to win last year or this year, but I knew that there was blatant flaws in our lineup.
I will say that I was not expecting them to win this season.
Not this year. Not especially not this year.
It wasn't until after game 1 of this series that I was like, oh, they could win.
No, I'll say only reason I thought the Nuggets could win this year is because of the fact we have Jokic, Jamal, Aaron Gordon, our five. Like our starting five is so good. It's hard for me to ever fully count them out. It's kind of like we were talking about. You don't bet against a fat boy, and you darn sure don't bet against a team that has championship pedigree. That's just the truth. Like even when we're talking about Golden State and Timberwolves, yeah, they're probably gonna lose, but I still wouldn't count them out. You know what I mean? And the Nuggets have that in them. And I just think that this is the first now off season. Now the pieces got to line up. We got to get the right GM. We got to have the right coaching staff, and we got to get the right players. But if we do those three things this offseason, I'm really excited for the team next year because I think we have, as you said, we've gone to 2 Western Conference Finals with a lack of a bench. You got 3 or 4 key players because you got to remember Spencer Jones ain't going to be on the team next year. Vladko Kankar's not going to be on the team next year. Hopefully Dario Saric does not take that player option. He's gone off the team next year. Russ it's truly up to him what he wants to do. He can either opt into his player option or he can opt out. I would, obviously this podcast is pro having Russ back, but it's not. I mean, if he doesn't want to come back, that's truly up to him. And there's like one other roster spot that's basically going to be gone too. So you're talking about 6 or 7 roster spots before trades, before everything else that are just going to flat out be open for the Nuggets. There's enough NBA caliber basketball players out there. Lonnie Walker, who we could have added at any point. We didn't even add anybody during the buyout period that would have helped us out. Apparently, we're in the second apron now, so whatever that means. A first apron. Last year we were in the second apron. Correct. This year we're in the first apron, and they said we couldn't make any moves last year. We still picked up 2, so I'm assuming we have more moves to be made in the first apron. That's being said for that. And can I do one more thing? Before we go, because I did want to make a point to Jay's a while back when she was talking about Caruso and all those things. They were baiting the Nuggets to throw the ball into Jokic with Caruso on him because they know if you see Caruso on Jokic, it's obviously a mismatch. But when the Nuggets are trying to force it into Jokic, now you have Caruso guarding them with Hartenstein and Chet behind him. So it's not the mismatch you think it is because once Jokic gets down and does all the work to get past Caruso, who's fouling him on the back end, you still got two rim protectors on that. So now Jokic can't. And then here's the other point: when Jokic has his back to the basket, him and Jamal can't do the 2-man game that they're known for. So if you actually think about this game, the two-man game was non-existent tonight. And I think that matters in a game where you needed somebody else to come off the bench. And so Jamal now is not in the 2-man game. So when Jokic passes it out, they're just going to crash on Jamal again. You know what I mean? Like this, it's kind of like, hey, Caruso is baiting it. And then you guys now, and if you try to throw it fast enough, we have active hands that we're going to come cut that off.
And Murray said in his presser that they didn't have the spacing that they usually have. And that's why. What Dot just described, number 1. And number 2, they just did not hit the shots when that happened in the middle because they were open around the edges and they didn't hit the shots. So it was a combination, but it was because of the way OKC was playing them. They weren't playing them like that in the first 10 minutes when we went up on them.
And Jokic is too good not to have shooters around him. Our next GM just has to see that clearly. The NBA, not only has the NBA become a 3-point shooting game, but the Nuggets, the only time we won a championship, we had knockdown shooters. Yeah. So if you don't put 3-point shooters around Jokic, you're already making a mistake.
Because you see because they get those looks all day. That look, even to what you're saying is like when that opens up, like Jokic, he gets the ball, he notices it, he could kick out. Like as the defense is gonna collapse on him, and he kicks out to a wide open Julian Strawther, to a wide open MPJ, to a wide open Russell Westbrook. And it's like if you kick out to like a Luke Kennard or someone who's gonna knock that shot down, or hell, like come on, and that's the biggest thing. And I think to your point, Dot, and I'll just have this rant without saying who's at fault, but like at the end of the day, it's 2 straight years of even in the season, you didn't make a move, you didn't make a trade at the trade deadline.
That's why they're gone though.
The casual of the most casual fans notice that. You know what I mean? Horse. And even last, I know it's a dead horse. But we're the team of Nikola Jokic. We love horses, and we're gonna beat this one. We're gonna beat this one last time.
Josh Kroenke.
Even at the end of this, even in this season, I said this on the pod. The Nuggets will win a championship if they make one move.
That was
They
our
made
narrative.
no moves. The
And we
one
said-
move they made was firing the head coach and firing the GM. And
Thank
you
God.
saw what that did you saw how that inspired the team.
Yeah.
So if you made one move, you
Yeah.
would have had it. And
Dot, say your point.
that is crazy to me.
And Dot has a point about we have the best 5, but we didn't have the best 10 because we didn't have 10.
Yeah, and that's why we lost in 7 games,
There you
because
go.
basketball is a game of team. You gotta have a team, and if you have a great team that can play the first 5 minutes, first starter minutes, but then they can kill you 6 through 10 in a series, you're gonna get exposed. Eventually, Carson Wallace is gonna hit a 3.
Yep.
Eventually,
Luke
Luke Dort's gonna have his
3 in a row.
game.
Yeah.
Tonight it was Jalen Williams or
Yeah.
J-Dub, because
J-Dub.
we never know
J-Dub.
which one to call him.
It's J-Dub.
J-Dub had his night tonight.
Yep.
And then earlier in the season, again, it was game 2 or game 1, Caruso had his night. So every time they had a struggle with their main guys, their main SGA or whatever, SGA is gonna get his 20 or 30, no matter what. Chet's gonna do what he needs to do. But when they get those moments from those unexpected guys, they got them. This series wasn't as great for us. The first series, oh my God,
Yeah.
Russ against the Clippers, amazing. Russ against the against the OKC, he was cool. He defensively, I think you'll look back on the series and be like, Russ played outstanding defensively. Offensively, he just wasn't hitting the open shot the way he was against the Clippers, and that's the difference in this series. There's so many small things. That's why
I think another point to that is that we depended on Russell Westbrook this postseason like it was 2015.
Yep.
You know what I mean? Like we depended on him like he was the one key cog we needed. And think about if you go back to last September when we signed this dude, Nuggets fans was yelling from the ceiling. Not only Nuggets fans, not even Nuggets fans. Nikola Jokic was going in there and banging on the tables like, "Get me this dude."
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And it's like that is so key. That is so key to all of this. And back to MPJ because I'm just disappointed. Like I was so upset, and I buried. I was. I know.
He had a shoulder.
Last year, last year, what was it?
I don't know what it was last year, but I know what it was this year.
Yeah, I get the shoulder. But 6
I'm not saying that he's not going to be in a trade. I'm just saying it was more than just him. If we can't say we don't have a bench and we only needed one more player, and then we go, beating down the ones that were there and performed as best they could with the injuries and all. That's it.
And Kristoff, since we're kind of just
I'm with it, but I just think that he's a good piece to move.
We're not doubting that.
He's a good piece to move if teams are willing to give us a fair trade.
Yeah, or at least 80% trade.
Because if here's the thing, I think any team would take Michael Porter for some draft picks, but it's like, do we need draft picks to win? That's kind of the Calvin method.
Come on, here, 1 second. You guys just said we've talked a little bit about Alex Caruso. Alex Caruso was on the Chicago Bulls, and Alex Caruso got traded to the Oklahoma City Thunder for Josh Giddey.
Yeah, young up and coming.
Josh Giddey.
Yeah.
Well, then give me someone young and up and coming for Michael Porter Jr., who's a champion who could shoot.
Yeah, I'm not.
You aren't saying that Giddey was getting paid what MPJ's getting paid. That's not
trust.
point.
No, if you get a GM,
that's the massaging piece.
If we get a GM who makes a trade, and I look up and I'm like, I like that trade. Guess what? I'm gonna be happy. I'm not saying I don't want Michael Porter gone. I think he is the number one person on our team right now who is on the chopping block. You know what I mean? He is the guy. So
They've been talking about it all year.
I'm not saying that he's not above getting traded. I just want to know who we're getting. You know what I mean? It's the same thing, same thing when we got KCP. If you would have asked us, but that season, would you have traded what's the name? Monte Morris. I'd be like, yeah, who are we trading him for? You tell me I get KCP, I'm like, heck yeah, I want him. But if we get a dude that can't play deep, I swear, if we trade Michael Porter for a dude or two dudes that can't shoot, I'm still gonna be mad. You know what I mean? Because the whole problem with what the Nuggets had is that we don't
Yeah.
have shooters around Jokic.
Yeah.
So don't trade Michael Porter for a dude that can't shoot. I guess that's what I'm saying. Like there has to be something that's, for example, at the off season, if there was a way to get Zach LaVine, and it seemed like Zach LaVine was the one dude that was really, really available, I would have loved that trade all day, every day. Run it up. You know what I mean? We didn't have a GM in there that was going to be willing to make that move. You know what I mean? If now Zach LaVine, I think, just signed a big old contract too. So now he's not even available. So I'm just saying, who are these guys that you'd want for Michael Porter that would make it sense? And I know it's easy to day of getting beat in Game 7 or last year getting beaten at home in Minnesota to be like, yep, Michael Porter got to go. We need to know who we're getting at all points. So we got to bring in the right.
But I guess I just disagree. You could bring, as long as it's not a ham sandwich, as long as it's not a washer machine, I will take pretty much a warm professional NBA body over this dude at this point, to be honest with you.
Well, we understand your position. We understand.
No, because I'm just saying, like, dude got a championship. I have no more ties to him. I don't.
I agree. I do agree on that point. I'm not saying, I think, like I said, he's the number one trade piece of this thing. But I also think there are people are calling for Jamal.
Dot and Jace.
Their reasons, yes.
Think about it. We were getting killed tonight by Kason Wallace and Aaron Wiggins.
Coming up.
Kason Wallace and Aaron Wiggins. If you told me that last season that you're trading MPJ for Kason Wallace and Aaron Wiggins, I would have been like, who? Who are these people? But then you come see in the playoffs, you've been like, yeah, that was a fantastic trade. So if you tell me we're trading MPJ to Houston for a few people, I don't know their names at the moment, but they played like that in come playoffs, it was a fantastic trade. And to your point,
Andrew Wiggins has learned to play like that because when he was on the Warriors,
it's
different
Wiggins. Hell, but if you traded him for Andrew Wiggins, I'd be cool with that.
Yeah, I wouldn't hate that either. I wouldn't hate that. The other part was at the beginning of this season. If you go listen to the first episode of this season, we talk about what the expectations were this year. We said flat out, straight up blank, the Nuggets' biggest rival or biggest chance of getting to the NBA championship was going to be the Oklahoma City Thunder. I mean, obviously, mostly people said the same thing, seeing as the OKC Thunder were the number one seed last year. But if you go listen to that episode, we said that's if the Nuggets don't make any that's if they don't make any move at the trade deadline. We said if the Nuggets make a move at the trade deadline, then I still believe the Nuggets can beat OKC. That was the premise of this year. So the first 5 episodes we're talking, oh man, all that bench. I don't think Calvin Booth's gonna do it. Christoph Yalch the whole time. Calvin Booth's not gonna make a move. Not me and JJ's. We're holding on belief because we're like, there's no way this dude's looking at this team the way we're looking at this team and not making a move. Come to the middle of the season, no move is made at the deadline. And if you look at this series, and then here's even a better one. Now was not one made at the off season. I mean at the trade deadline, but none was made in the buyout market. Literally. Even if you go look at the buyout market, there's somebody right now that's out there that could have helped us in this trade. I mean, in this series. One guy. You could have picked this dude up for nothing outside of a vet mini, and he would have made a difference. And that is this series in a nutshell. That is if you look, no matter what, as bad, you can make up all the excuses. You can say AG got hurt, blah, all down the line. One guy makes the difference in us winning this series. And quite frankly, one guy makes the difference in us potentially winning the NBA Finals this year. That's how close it was. Because then the Nuggets might win a game in Game 4. They might win Game 5. And then guess what? AG doesn't get hurt in Game 6. So you don't have to worry about that. That's the details of this game that when you go set down, that's what I'm saying. This game, this episode, yes, it's the post-mortem of the Nuggets. But I have a lot of faith in these Nuggets that they have everything is there outside of 6 through 10. And if we get 6 through 10 right, I can live with Michael Porter being on the team another year if we get 6 through 10 right. Because then he doesn't have to play all these minutes. And that's the thing that AG was talking about in his presser. He said, bro, he didn't say it because, these players always got talking code. We played too many minutes. That's why we're hurt. You know what I'm saying? He's like, that's why we're hurt.
And he started naming people
Jay,
all over the league that got hurt. He said Curry. He said Dame. He said Jason Tatum. He forgot to say LeBron because LeBron was about
And
gone.
Jokic said the same thing. He said, "We are a good basketball team." He said, we didn't have the depth when you're going against a team that has a lot of it.
A lot of
and
it.
Then let me give you another one. Jamal Murray said it. He said the difference between what we were playing against with them, he said playing them was like playing like an AAU team because they had so much depth, so many players they could roll out.
Jays and Dot to prevent the crash out. To prevent the crash
I'm not
out
crashing
because,
out.
I don't want Nuggets tears here. Here's what I keep
I'm
hearing
crashing out. I'm actually optimistic.
From the exactly from the Just Nuggets podcast. Here's why I hear it in so many ways. It feels like the end of the 2022 season when we lose in five games to the eventual champions, right?
Yeah.
It was like we just don't have Jamal and we need a little bit more. If we have a little bit more to come off our bench and we have Jamal back, we got beat, no doubt, by the Warriors, but we played them tough in the moments that mattered. And it was promising. It's like when we come back at full strength, we're going to be a problem. Yep. And what happened was, to his credit, Mr. Booth came in, got the job, and made some good moves. And guess what happened? Championship season. We saw it from a mile away. As we back on this pod, look back at this night, look back at this game, if they go in there, they make a good GM move, that GM comes in and sees what you said, surround him with shooters, surround him with depth. You do that? Hell, I was thinking about it. I don't hate DA as the head coach. I feel like he has a good pulse on this team that like a new coach might not have. You know what I mean? We'll see how that shakes out, but I'm totally not against DA.
Aaron Gordon
I'm not
coach too.
Aaron Gordon said he wanted AD.
I'm not anti DA. And I'm not pro DA either. But like I'm very much so, if they give him the job, I'm not upset about it because the dude just proved he can do it. He's got the pulse of it. Seemed like they got respect. Obviously, he didn't do a full 82, but
and
like
it's called his philosophy.
Yeah,
too.
AG said and install his philosophy. So he knows what talking about. We're not in a room, so he knows, and I trust AG.
So I think if they do, they just need to do a few key pieces because you just saw. I believe you guys may not want to hear this. I believe we just saw and took the championship team to the champion. We just took the champion team to 7.
We're in Nuggets now.
No, we
must be in not Nuggets now.
This is still very much not.
I'm saying OKC. I think OKC is going to win the championship. That's just how I feel about it.
I feel like you say not Nuggets because you trying to go.
No, hear me out. It's still Nuggets. It's still a Nuggets point. I think they're going to win the championship because of all the things we just said. And this Nuggets team, as the flawed as they are, took them and gave them everything they wanted. And they're going to look back, when they look back at their championship in 10 years, they're going to be like, we would have never been able to hoist that championship without beating the Nuggets.
Can I do my analysis?
Go for it.
Did you have anything left on the Nuggets?
I'm done with we can go on to not Nuggets because I would like to talk about this.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I always look at matchups, right? And I think I think Timberwolves got a lot of information on OKC from watching the Nuggets 7-game series.
And if not, they need to call John.
There is so much understanding of how to play OKC
and beat them
because they played them this way in the regular season. They put them in that zone, and that zone caused the OKC trouble. Here's another thing: Chet is soft. No disrespect to Chet, whatever. I know it's kind of hard to say someone's soft and then not say no disrespect, but I think Julius Randle is gonna give him buckets. You know what I mean? Period. Doesn't matter. And then 2. Rudy Gobert is going to be able to hold down the middle of that court.
Because he doesn't move.
Because that's what he does.
Don't even go out.
And here's another thing.
Doesn't leave that spot.
And he's a 3-time NBA defensive player of the year. So Isaiah Hartenstein is not going to have a good series. So now that whole big man thing that they got going down there where they can pack the paint, it doesn't matter if you pack the paint against the Timberwolves. I'm not saying that they're going to lose the Timberwolves. All I'm saying is that I want to count out the Timberwolves. And two, the Nuggets have been in this situation multiple times where teams get up to play the Nuggets in game and go all the way to game 7,
And then
whatever.
the next
And then the
series
next
they
series do
lose.
absolutely nothing against that
Absolutely
next team.
nothing.
And I think there's a possibility for that. We
Yep.
saw it with the Portland in 2019,
Yep.
and we saw it last year with the Timberwolves.
And we might be just a kryptonite. I think that I totally agree that we should not count out Minnesota. Okay? Because I know that an Ant sometimes starts slow, but he darn sure finishes fast. Okay? And they could just go and look at our film. They have film on them from a good team. They have film on them. And you know what? I didn't count their bench, but I'll look at it. I bet they have a bigger bench than we do. We did. And probably more consistent.
They do got DiVincenzo off the bench, so that's
Yeah.
basically
DiVincenzo take off
probably
Caruso.
almost better than almost our whole team. The bench maybe outside of Russ. Like,
Yeah.
that's really about
So
it.
I just say Minnesota got a shot. I'm not gonna say Oklahoma's gonna win all the way.
And they got rest in a series where there's no rest.
Right.
Because apparently they're gonna play 13. They're gonna play 7 games in 14 days.
Really. Then they got it opens on Tuesday. So that means that OKC for the first time will get no rest. They'll see how it felt when Nuggets got no rest. But Minnesota been chilling.
Well, Dot, all I can say is I do have a future on Minnesota. So you're not sitting here telling me that Minnesota is fantastic because I already knew that. And so much so, I put my money where my mouth is. So I'm very aware of how good Minnesota is. And
But you still think OKC's gonna win the whole thing. You still think that?
Well, this is what you call a hedge, Mama.
Oh.
Either way, I make money or my take is correct.
Okay.
So I just honestly think that I and maybe it's I actually got more respect for OKC this series.
Yeah,
Some people get more hate. Some people get more hate for over a course of a series like last season with Minnesota. I did not like them after that 7. This season, I don't dislike OKC. Like I think
I got there because they have that darn Caruso on them. I'm telling you, Caruso got under.
I don't dislike Caruso.
Jumping all over Joker and not getting the calls. And that Dort.
Yeah.
Dort. I mean, it's not the top. It's not SGA and it's not J Dub. I get those two aren't but the rest of them, oh yeah, the rest.
And I think every Nuggets fan can have that feeling. I personally just didn't start to hate OKC from this. I start to see that I think that they're deep and I think they play great defense, hacking and all. They play good defense, and I think Minnesota has one thing. You guys, everything you said, I believe and agree with. But Minnesota does not have a Jokic. They do not have a Jokic. I think the perimeter defenders that didn't get to show their versatility in this last series against the Nuggets will be able to shut down and slow down Ant. And as we just saw, like they will put up a game where they only. Yeah, well, they'll have games throughout the series where they'll only put up 80 points. You see that against the Lakers. You saw that against the Warriors. So if you do that, and OKC is young, think about it. They played the Lakers. No,
Minnesota's young.
Youngest team in the NBA.
But Minnesota's young.
They are, but they just played young. They played old. They played the geezers, bro. They played. You can't sit here and tell me that
I'll take it.
Anthony
Edwards is younger than the Lakers and the Warriors.
No. Let me say this. Okay, Christoph, consider this. If you're going to look at experience, last year Minnesota got right where they're going to be right now. This is not anything. They got right here last year in the Western Conference Finals and got beat. Don't you think they want to get out of that bucket just like OKC got to where they just got in semis and they wanted to get to the next step? I'm just saying that one may have a little bit more motivation than the one that's coming in with the 68 games that looks like now it was light years ago. 68 game win in the regular season. Shoot, they haven't even gave the man the MVP if they're gonna give it to him. They still trying to hang on to the regular season. I don't want to hear that anymore. Because the one arm hamstring bitten flu guys almost beat y'all. Okay, so don't talk to me about OKC and how big they are. When Minnesota has the motivation.
You want to talk about hamstring? They played a dude that didn't even the Hall of Famer didn't even play, and you got Draymond who's getting kicked out in the third quarter, and Jimmy Buckets who's putting up 10 points, and Moses Moody who's not even showing up, and Buddy Hield who's scoring 12 points. So they didn't play nobody. They didn't play anybody. So as you saw with OKC, is when they didn't play anybody with Memphis, they came and played somebody in Denver and got taken to the brink. I agree with everything. I agree with everything you said, but they're about to get tested too. That's why it's the Western Conference Finals.
I get you.
And
I think OKC is still obviously the favorite because they won 68 games. No one's not. I don't.
And they got home court.
I just think that there is a level of. I think the way the Timberwolves can play them is fundamentally different than what how the Nuggets play them, and they played them well this season too. And I think when you have the zone, plus you got a rim protector and Rudy Gobert, and then you got defenders that can actually also make life challenging for SGA. When you have McDaniels, who we know is gonna play defense. DiVincenzo's play defense. Anthony Edwards plays defense.
So, and can hit threes.
So
threes.
OKC's only real scorer in this series is going to be SGA.
I have Minnesota in 6. Minnesota in 6.
Because J-Dub is going to have Anthony Edwards on him. That's just a fact.
Minnesota in 6.
So I think Minnesota does have a lot of they have a lot of advantages that I think a lot of people, because here's the thing, if someone's listening to us right now, we might be the only podcast that is developing this conversation in a way, or not only podcast, but only if you listen to mainstream media, they're going to say, okay, see, going away.
Done.
There is a lot of details in this game that you shouldn't count out the Timberwolves. Even to what JJ is talking about, the motivation on Minnesota has to be extremely high. Because they're in this exact same situation last year.
Exact same.
And if you ask, and then here's the last part. Anthony Edwards, we call him Ant-Man, but his real nickname is Randy Orton. Because this dude has been a legend killer in a lot of these series, and he gets to add another Infinity Stone to his gauntlet if he can beat SGA, who's apparently has been the MVP, even though for whatever reason we didn't give out this MVP yet.
Right.
I don't know what the reasoning was, but there was no MVP given out now 2 rounds of basketball.
Right.
Neither here nor there.
Chaos.
There's going to be some motivation for Ant-Man there. And they're coming off a rest. If they can get 1 or 2 in OKC, who knows what the series looks like.
And they don't care about home court. They haven't had it. They haven't had it in this whole playoffs.
I think it's going to be OKC in 6, and the East is going 7. I don't know if it's going to be.
I got Timberwolves
in the Garden for Game 7. That's gonna be tough. If is barring injury, I could see it's gonna be the same thing as last season. Wow.
So you said you have okay.
My gut is telling me Knicks in 7.
OKC in 6 and Knicks, you said in 7.
In 7.
Okay. I have Minnesota in 6, and I have Indiana in 6.
Yeah, I will take Minnesota in 7. Ooh, Minnesota. I don't know. If Minnesota wins, they'd have to win faster than 7, because I think the longer the series goes in, the more that OKC's figured them out. But I'll still pick Minnesota in some form or fashion. I'll give them 6.5. And then because it doesn't matter no more. This is the last podcast of the year. And then
you should, at that point, you might say 5.5.
Yeah, one of them 5.5, 6.5. And then I think the Knicks should win this. No, here's what I say. I think the Pacers actually are playing much better basketball than Knicks, but I think the Knicks had better kind of win this series, but I will. Middleton's playing good basketball. I don't know, bro. Indiana is. I don't think. Actually, yeah, Indiana's been getting a lot of disrespect, and these guys can play basketball. I think they're playing. I got Indiana in 6, especially because Knicks is out here throwing trash on people's heads. Like that might be fans out here throwing trash on people's heads. Like,
so who do you think is winning? I think sometimes
here.
Bears crashing out, winning, and going crazy. I might have Indiana.
Those are Knicks fans. They was doing that against. They spit on Trey Young. Come on, bro.
They
That's Knicks fans are.
they smacked trash on my man's head. That was crazy,
Somebody
bro.
just put Indiana
The
Pacers
Knicks,
jersey.
the Knicks
2 bags
are
of trash on somebody's head.
Knicks fans are ridiculous, bro. That's just known fact.
Who's gonna
One
win the
thing,
NBA finals?
one second before I do that, you do have to give a little bit of, you got to kind of look at the historical significance a little bit. You're gonna have 3 teams that have never won a championship, and 1 team in the Knicks who has it's been over 50 years. So that's a little interesting thing as we move forward throughout the rest of the playoffs because it's going to be something that hasn't happened in a long, long time.
And if the way the CBA's
Forever.
I was say the way CBA's working, you're gonna keep seeing that. Because the Nuggets finally got their first one, and then another ABA team and the Pacers can potentially get their first one.
You know, Minnesota could get theirs, and
I think
OKC.
Minnesota wins.
I mean, okay, if you want to be technical, OKC already has a championship, but that's Seattle's. So if you want to be technical, there's gonna be a team that hasn't won since the 70s or a team that's never won at all.
I think Minnesota wins it all.
I don't even know. I guess
I think OKC wins it all.
if OKC gets out of the West, they're gonna win it all. So me picking Timberwolves, I'm gonna say Pacers win it all.
Yeah, I can't sit here and say whoever gets out this series is going to win it all when the Nuggets still have a chance to win it. And then when OKC beats the Nuggets, then flip to the Timberwolves. I'm not going to say that. I thought whoever wins the series wins it all, so I'm going to keep with that
I'm
point.
gonna say the same thing. Whoever wins in the Minnesota thing, like I'll say this: if OKC wins that series, they're gonna win the championship because I think they're better than any of the teams in the East. If Minnesota because the reason why is Minnesota's like the Nuggets. We've played them so many times that they understand how to play OKC
And they got
each other.
7 games of film to watch.
They know how to play each other a little better than
7
another.
games.
That's what makes
they're all in the same. They're all in the same.
Yeah,
division.
it makes it a little different. Otherwise, I would say what. But I'm saying if OKC wins, they're gonna win it all. If Timberwolves win, I think I'm assuming now my is the same. I'm gonna go with Pacers over the Timberwolves.
I guess here's the question you should be asking is we can move to the just Nuggets or 2 minutes remaining after this. Question you should be asking is who does Adam Silver want to win the NBA championship?
Oh my! Don't get me started. Let's go.
Yeah, because they definitely had Scott Foster to ensure that the Nuggets were going to be there. They're like AG's hurt too. Scott Foster.
Yeah, Scott
Anyways,
Foster.
2 minutes remaining.
2 minutes remaining.
2 minutes remaining.
I guess we should just kind of go around the horn as we kind of talk about the Nuggets in the end of the season. If you thought we weren't going to talk more Nuggets, yeah, it's going to be more Nuggets.
Yeah, no.
Maybe we just go around
Nuggets.
the horn and just say, let's do this. Let's do top 3. Who do you want? And this might get hard because it's anybody past Bob Myers, you might not have a good answer. But who do you want as a GM? Who would you want as a coach? And what key player or pickup would you want for the Nuggets?
Can we say? If it's not a player, can we say positioning or something? Or yeah.
Sure.
I'll answer.
Biggest jump you want the Nuggets to have if you don't have a player in mind.
I'll go from your last answer all the way up to the top. I think we need anybody who could hit a 3 that can defend on the bench, a bench player. Okay. Brucey B would be beyond perfect. Okay, he can hit a 3, he can defend, and we know he works with something like that.
I'll stop you because the Nuggets don't go backwards.
Yeah, right. Well, that's why I didn't want to name anybody. I want that type of a person, a player. Okay. AD, I wouldn't be. I'm like AG. He's proven himself to me. However, I keep saying AD. I'm so sorry. AD, you're on my mind. DA, Adelman. I wouldn't be opposed to that if the GM, okay, I get to that level, wants to pick him. He has a built-in choice. So I wouldn't be opposed if the GM comes in because I think it should be the GM picking their coach. Unlike somebody the owner's picking them and then you have that same rift that you had before.
Yep.
So I think the GM should pick the coach, and if he picks Adelman, it'd be great. Okay. The GM, I like Bob Myers. You said I don't know anybody else put behind it. I heard people like what's my man from Celtics that was over there at the Utah?
Danny Ainge.
Danny Ainge. I've heard his name rolling around.
That'd be cool.
Please no.
Oh no.
Just saying.
No.
I heard it. So so that's why I don't know. Bob Myers or Somebody good. I don't.
Tim Conley in the flesh. Can we just take somebody like everybody else has done for us? Like, I feel like everybody else just takes our GMs.
Yeah, right.
Because we got Masai Ujiri taken from the Toronto Raptors,
Yeah.
and then Timberwolves came and took Tim Conley. So,
and then they're getting ready to go to in my mind, they're getting ready to win a championship.
so we should just look at the team that we've liked who's built recently and just take, oh, my fault, Bob Myers.
Bob Myers.
Take him off of him. Dude, this dude has a microphone in the front of him right now. Like, he's doing the same thing we're doing. Get this man on our, get this man another Marvel reference. Get this man a shield.
Get him a shield.
Chris, what you got? Who are your guys?
I'm just happy Calvin Booth is no longer a GM. Because I'm sitting here kind of like getting upset again because if Mans did one thing, they win today.
Oh my.
I'm sorry. I don't think I'll get over that anytime soon. I love MPJ. I just want to put that on wax. He's a great Nugget. And yeah, I'll be sad to see him go. But it's like breaking up with a girl that you actually really liked, you know? It just had to end. And you wish her the best. But you really enjoyed the time you guys had together, and that's how it is with MPJ. I enjoyed the time we had together, but it's gotta end, you know? I hope you success over there, but it's over there. Don't be over here anymore. GM, obviously I've been ringing the Bob Myers train before a lot of people got on it. So Bob Myers. Coach, I thought what Jay said was very, very insightful. You'll have the same thing if the Cronkies say we're keeping DA and then we're gonna go get a GM because you're gonna have the same concept. They're gonna be beefing again, and it's not gonna be good. I want the GM, get the head coach. If it's DA, perfect. If it's not, perfect. That's how that sequence needs to go. And then players, you just need a complete reworking of 5 through 10. You need your boy the Holmes to come along and actually be a pretty decent, center, come off that injury well. You need shooters. I love P. Watt, but P. Watt, you can go. Strothard, Sia, Pickett, nice knowing you. Zeke Naji, please leave.
Sing us a song and go from your piano man.
Sing us a song. You are the piano man, and guess what? I am not tipping. Please leave. CB, you can stay. MPJ, I already talked about you. So they just need a complete reworking. I'm not gonna sit here. I'm not a GM. You know what I mean? Like I said on yesterday's pod, I'm better than 2 of them for fact, but I'm not a GM. They need to rework 5 through 8. They need to get younger. They need to get better shooters. They need to get defenders, 3-and-D guys, a couple of vets, and that's what they need.
And before we leave, I'd like to say, Nuggets fans, I love you dearly, but stop talking about Jamal. Please, just let that go. The man had the flu and came out there and gave you the game 6 to get you to 7, but it ain't his fault. We just spent an hour telling you what the fault was. It's the lack of a bench, lack of cohesion there, not enough depth. One thing, when we won go back to 2023, we won. Okay, guys, championship. We were deep. We were one of the deepest teams in the NBA. They kept saying that. Denver Nuggets, deepest team. We got Joker. We got the starting 5 that people love, and we got a deep team. We had a deep bench. That's just what happened today. But it wasn't Jamal's fault or by himself. So there you go.
No, I mean, if you're gonna blame anything, like game 4, game 5 was the issue. Like when you go when Jokic puts on an absolute masterpiece on the road, that 44-point game, and the rest of the team goes 1 of 15 in the fourth quarter. There you have it. When in OKC you're playing your best defensive game at home, and you lose a close game, there you have it. You pull out either one of those games, and that comes down to your point, Jace, just having a bench that can hit a shot. Someone who stepped up. Like, think about it. Strothard stepped up off the bench.
Or we would have been gone in game 6. Or we would have been down.
Would have won you a game. If you had someone else who did that for game 4, if you had someone else who did that in game 5, you would have won. Brucey B, and that's why CB is forever beloved by a lot of Nuggets fans, because he stepped out of nowhere.
Yes.
In that game against the Heat. But when you're
Yes.
a deep team, you can do that because people can step up out of nowhere because you have people who are stepping up consistently. You have a Brucey B off the bench. You have a KCP. You can hide a Michael Porter Jr. not having a good finals because you have depth. You have a Jeff Green hitting down that jump shot. Ish Smith coming giving you good
Ish Smith give me a couple
minutes.
minutes. Right. And DJ, even with DeAndre Jordan.
Yeah.
Jeff
But
Green.
the last 2 seasons you haven't had that.
No.
And when you're up by
Reggie Jackson.
Can you imagine if we had
and
Jeff
when-
Green right now to replace
Oh, my
Aaron Gordon?
goodness.
Like that would have made a big difference today.
Yeah.
or you have 20 minutes. When you have those 20 minutes, when you're up by 20, excuse me, when you're up by 20 against Minnesota and you just need a couple sustaining baskets,
That's it.
you would have won that series. This game 4, game 5, you just need a couple sustaining baskets in the fourth. You would have won this series. So you could there's a world in which you're looking at a three-peat right now. If it didn't happen and we're back to the drawing board.
No, there's a lot of relief. There's a lot of relief in this. The fact that we finally got rid of the GM, and as you know, Malone was a casualty of that too.
He was a casualty.
But we have officially created space for the Nuggets to be who they can be. You know that the next GM, God willing, is going to be, it's going to be a big component in making sure Jokic maximize these next couple years. Whether that looks like bringing in a second true all-star, no doubt, next to Jokic, or anything else in between, that's what we're looking for. A really great GM that understands championship culture. Not rebuild culture, not nothing else. Championship culture, we want that. Obviously, we say who we said 13 times on this podcast. And then, as you said, Jay's great point. We need the coach that fits that GM's philosophy that's going to do it.
Right.
And can I add this in, please? No analytics coaches. Please, no analytics coaches. Please, no GM coaches. Basketball coaches and basketball GMs. We don't need the Daryl Morey shoot 40 shots, gives you the best. None of that. If I hear about that coming from a GM, it's
threes are more than two.
Drive me insane.
Come on.
Basketball is always going to be the same thing. Who can execute physicality? Who's going to be able to play defense, and who's going to be making shots when it matters?
Right.
Who's going to get open, and who's going to win when it's winning time? So I don't need all the analytics guys coming in messing up the Nuggets.
What coaches are going to make critical adjustments over the course of the series.
Right.
The other thing I wanted to say is that from the players' perspective, I'm obviously not a Nugget. However, I do think they have to be going into this offseason with a little bit of confidence. You know, like the way the season could have ended, you lose your coach, lose your GM, and then you go down or you keep your coach and GM and it goes into turmoil, and it's like everyone's disgruntled, and that was a tough way to end the season, and we got bowed out in 5 games or 4 games, 6 games in the first round, and when we had home court advantage, and like what's going on with these Nuggets? This is like you took the number 1 team in the NBA to 7, and you had them on the ropes, and you just didn't have enough. But you didn't have enough against an almost 70-win team. You didn't have enough, and it's like, well, if we do this, and we have nothing but and a GM who's a smart guy could come in and say like, wow, I just watched that series, and you took the championship team or the team that won 70 games, however you want to look at it, however it shakes out. You took them to this, and this. If I come in and I give you guys this, and I give you this type of head coach, you guys are right there. And the players know they're right there because they saw that the
ability,
the margin between us and the title is not as far as we think it is. And if they went out like the way they could have went out, it probably would have been dim. I think there's a light at the end of this tunnel, and I think when we will circle back on this. I don't feel bad. I feel like we're close. I feel like
we were talking about this before the podcast.
Yes.
We might be, and I can't say for certain, but we may be on this podcast come summer, and especially by October, saying this is champion season 2, and meaning it. And it really depends on what we do from now until October.
Yep.
And quite frankly, obviously up until February, whatever.
I would love to name our first podcast next season. Championship.
And this is how I know. OKC was the number 1 seed last year, and in the offseason, they added Alex Caruso and they added Hartenstein and won the championship. Boston, the year before they won a championship, they added Kristaps Porzingis and Drew Holiday won a championship.
And the Nuggets
the year before added Bruce Brown and KCP. So if you're telling me the Nuggets add 2 to 3 main pieces, and we already got what's his name, rookie homie that's going to come in and hopefully be able to back up Jokic finally. Who's not to say we're sitting here next year talking very happy about what we got here as a team?
But to your point, if you could say that about the Knicks, if the Knicks win a championship, they added Karl Anthony Towns and dude from Brooklyn and Bridges.
Yep.
So it's all the same. I think you're 100% right. And as I sit here, like I said, I don't feel sad.
No.
I don't feel bummed. I feel a little bit like Nino Brown that I gotta take MPJ behind the shed, but I gotta put MPJ down. That's the only thing that makes me a little bit sad, and I'm bummed I don't get to watch this team anymore because they were fun. They were miserable watching at times. Like even during the playoffs, I was like, oh my God, the shot selection, or today, like too many turnovers. Like they were miserable at times to watch, but there was always something special about this team. And like I'll hold this team in higher regard than I will last year's team.
Yeah.
I don't know. I do.
Oh, for sure.
I will.
Yeah, I will too. Well, from the Just Nuggets podcast, I know I say this often, but it's going to be a while. So from the Just Nuggets podcast, my name is Kade Alkali, your point guard's favorite point guard, your podcast's favorite point guard, might I add. JJ's has been a great season.
Good season, Nuggets.
Thank you, everybody that's been listening.
We love you.
Thank you, David Alderman, for having a great. You made this season special.
Yeah.
I want to say thank you, AG. You played so well. You made the season special. And all the other Nuggets, hate or love, mess or not on this podcast.
Don't mess with Murray.
We do love you Nuggets for all that you've done this year.
Joker, enjoy.
And this podcast has been one long Coronas in Cancun. So to the Nuggets, have yourself an off season. Christoph, you got anything else?
2 tickets to paradise, my friend. We'll see you.
Rest and relax.
We'll see the Lakers. We'll see the Celtics. We'll see Houston. We'll see whoever else all on the beach this summer. Golden State. Yeah. We'll see you all on the beach here soon.
Look at Jamal. You don't have to play. You don't have to play no national basketball.
No.
Jokic might because he got the Euros coming, but maybe not. But rest up, get healthy. Let's see y'all next.
Also Minnesota or OKC. We'll see you on the beach too.
Yeah, exactly.
And you can find our pod on
Just Nuggets podcast. We're on Apple and Spotify and all podcast players, as well as we will be talking in the summer a little bit on the Just Nuggets podcast at Twitter. So as always, go Nuggets.
Go Nuggets.
Go Nuggets.